Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Strat Gamer here, providing you with a new Anno 1800 episode. And today we are reviewing the latest DLC, the last DLC of Season 3, the High Life, released a couple of days ago on August 31st. This is indeed so far the last planned or announced DLC in terms of gameplay. There are still two cosmetic DLCs that are planned for this year, as well as a new game mode linked to the green game that you may have seen on the Anno Union website. This is gonna be apparently a new region that's gonna be released for free at the end of the year. If you have any question about that, don't hesitate to check my video at the top that will appear now at the top around the season 4 and what else has been announced. But let's dive into this DLC. And to be honest, I won't make you wait for sort of the conclusion, as my conclusion is this is a great DLC. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I think the only element is, of course, a lot of players have actually been having a lot of problems with, in particular, the update. Like it wasn't actually apparently so much linked to the new DLC itself, but the game update number 12, which was released at the same time. There was a lot of people that couldn't connect anymore, where the update was running a few times. So that definitely happened for a lot of players. And if you're one of those players out there, I hope that by now it is fixed on your side. On my side, I also had a few issues, especially during the first 2 days. But now, so far, let's say day 3 or 4 has been working well. And I also hope, that this is something we can just forget after a few days, few weeks, and just focus on this amazing content. Because indeed, this last DLC brings up, for me, a lot of things. The first element that I really like about it is that I find it balanced. Now, if you look at something like the Dockland, which many of you may know, I really don't like because I find that it breaks a lot of the joy of the game, of the complexity of the game. So many of the videos I've been doing, since the release of the Dockland, sort of say in the title without export import, that I think this is completely broken. But here I don't see that. Some people may say, yeah, it's broken. You can have so much population in one skyscraper like this one. I mean, this one is only 200. You can get to more than 300. But the truth is, no, this is not broken, because to get to actually that population, first of all, you're going to have a huge maintenance cost. If you're not careful, you're definitely going to be negative. And you're going to need to provide a lot of goods, which are very complex goods. They're not the simplest good. Let me show you some of these here. You may have seen the toys or the babies in the past, but even others like this one is also quite complex. They're all quite complex, taking things from the new world, from the old world. And the other thing that is why they're quite complex slash it is balanced is it is pretty impossible to build or to produce all of those goods, in a, let's say, in a min-maxer's dream. Like, you can't do zero workforce for most of them. You can't change the required goods that are needed for most of them to something super simple. So you're gonna have to work through it. It's gonna take space, it's gonna take time and effort to actually get to a full, level 5. That's the first reason why I think this is quite nice DLC. It is balanced. Second reason why I think it is quite a nice DLC is it actually brings new challenges. For me, if you look at something like, once against the Dockland, in less than 2 hours, most of us had unlocked all of the goods. We had all of the achievements. It wasn't bringing any challenges. The tourists were bringing something new, but it wasn't really a challenge either, because they weren't bringing new endgames element. It was even sort of described by Ubisoft themselves that wasn't an endgame DLC. It was a DLC that was meant to help you when you are around the engineers, or maybe even artisans, because you will be able to get more money quickly. You will be able to get restaurants and things like this that will reduce the needs of those early tiers, but it wasn't really changing anything for the past, for the end game. I think the last DLC that was actually bringing a new end game goal was the scholars, because the scholars had a higher density, which was giving you, sort of new goals to reach a higher population, this whole new region. So there was definitely a lot there to look forward to. And now there's definitely more here too, because you're gonna be able to have way more population in a different way. There's also new challenges for the engineers, and at the same time, as I just said, it's produce all of that. There's also a number of new challenges. It's not productions that are so easy. I mean, honestly, the tourist productions are not that hard. Sure, there weren't any items at that point to help the tourist things, and a few of them were taking some space, like the orchards. But yeah, it wasn't that hard. I mean, you see here, these are the most complicated one, and they're not complicated at all. So, that's the second reason. Is for me, it really brings new challenges. Now, number three is, on top of, let's say, those new challenges, it actually brings a lot of complexity that you may not see at first glance, but that complexity is definitely there. So let me give you some examples. The first one is quite simple in a sense, is which level is the optimum level? Because you may think, oh, that's easy, that's level 5, but actually it's not that easy, because for level 5, let's take a level 5 that doesn't have any panorama. Yeah, no, that's a level 4. They all have panorama here. So what I'm at, that's actually one element that I think is not great about this DLC is the, let's say, overlay for the panorama. I would love to have a way to see where do I have panorama, where don't, what level are my skyscrapers. It's usually quite hard to see. So this one doesn't have panorama. As you can see, it's 175, but you need to produce all of this, including some quite hard sort of goods, but also those let's say public services like the drugstore or the furniture store, which are what's called shopping arcades. You can see them here. So there's basically, you need to take a lot of space to provide the goods that are needed for those 175, versus maybe, if we look at the level 4, maybe this one. No. See, that's what I was saying. That's level 3. But anyway, actually that shows quite nicely what I wanted to say is this is the level 3, which will require a lot less goods, and when you add the panorama effect, then may actually have a lot more residents in it. So, there's definitely complexity around knowing which level is actually the optimum, even without, the panorama effect actually, right? Is if you think a level 4, I think is 150, a level 3 is 125, not that far from the 175, but a lot more goods are required. So knowing which level is actually the optimum if you're a min-maxer is something quite complex. And then you add the panorama effect. The panorama effect, which has 5 levels. I'm actually going to record very shortly another video around the panorama effect, not just explaining the panorama effect, but trying to show you what is actually the best setup, or let's say layout, to get the best panorama effect, or best population density, let's say. So yes, the panorama effect has 5 levels, each of these bringing, additional population, also different population bonuses, bonus residence for the engineers versus the investors. So that brings again another complexity. Also, these bonuses, of panorama are not just pure bonuses you'll get for free. You actually get them only if you provide some of the resources. So that's once again, linked to you have to give those resources to get that bonus. So there's definitely a lot of complexity in these levels, also the panorama effect, and also in those those arcades, sorry, the department store, furniture store, and the drugstore in terms of catalog. And why is that? Is because these ones actually do provide a lot of bonuses, which are targeted to those investors and engineers, and also scholars, but that's a detail. Versus when you look at the restaurants, bars, cafes, once again, they were a lot more targeted at the first few tiers of buildings. The bonuses for investors really weren't that great. Because see here, if you look, for example, at the vacuum cleaner, 25% for glasses, 15% for steam carriages, on top of just uh, the income bonus and the happiness bonus. I mean, this is huge. So that brings again more complexity because you need to choose which one, what are the goods that are required for each of these. So that was the third reason why I really like this DLC, is there is actually quite deep complexity. It's not something where I can give you the math in 5 minutes and we'll be done. We'll know exactly what is perfect. Then reason number 4 is they actually did introduce a few items in this DLC. And those items are very different from the previous items. If you look at all of those legendary here, they're super overpowered, right? Like just loading speed plus 100%. No malus, just this bonus. Or happiness plus 10 and champagne. That's it. These bonuses are huge. Now, if we look at the items that have been added, there are some for the hotel, like here. And the one for the hotels are basically the only one that sort of resembles the old one, because they're usually pretty positive. You can see here happiness, fire, and illness. Similarly, happiness, reduced need for something, fire, illness, and some residence. So these ones are quite positive, but at the same time, they're not overpowered at all. I mean, to be honest, 10% chance of fire and illness, I don't care. And 20 residents, that is not huge when you see the size of an hotel and how many things you need to give to get that. But then it gets a lot more interesting when you start looking at those new buildings like the orchards, and also we're going to look at the assembly line and things like this. Is look at this one, for example. Productivity plus 25. I mean, you look at min-maxer's game in the past, nobody has any item providing 25% productivity. That's useless. Nobody does that. And this is a legendary. And on top of being only 25%, you actually have workforce increased instead of decreased. You can already see that there's sort of always a trade-off. If you gain productivity, usually you also gain workforce. Your maintenance costs can also go up, those type of things. Also true, if we look at what is called the assembly line, there are a few, but usually they are not that crazy. Well, actually, this one is probably the best in all the bank because it does increase productivity and decrease workforce. But you move from a worker workforce to an engineer workforce. That's sort of the malus, and on top of that, the other malus is the maintenance cost basically doubles. But you can see, so this one, like night, they work at night basically, so not just the day, but also the night shift. The productivity increased, but the workforce doubles too. And also the maintenance, also the fire, many things, you know. And that's a bit the same for all of these. There's, you know, those items are not overpowered. They're, I mean, I'm not gonna say they're completely balanced. I don't think any items is, because that's the goal of an item, to sort of provide you with a bonus. But they're definitely not completely OP and making everything super simple. I think the one that does make life a lot simpler is actually not a legendary, as this one, the epic one, Blue Skies Delivery, because it does bring you additional happiness. And when, as long as the residencies are have the department store, furniture store, or drugstore fulfilled, they're provided with chewing gum, beer tables, and violin. So 3 goods sort of given to you for free in a sense, right? And this one, and the chewing gum. So that's definitely gonna help for any min maxer out there. So that was reason 4. There were some items. Reason 5, I think, you know, it's not just for min-maxer, but also for all the beauty builders out there. It does bring a completely different aspect to your city, right? Like we used to be just going flat and, you know, trying to give let's say variety in your city by mixing houses with productions and different tiers of houses for different colors. But now we're also going up. We don't just have a few monuments like the Eiffel Tower to go up, but we also have all of those sky towers, which can really bring completely different, you know, I would say aesthetics to your cities. And that's also coupled with a few great items, ornaments, sorry, like these lights that are moving at night is quite amazing, but also some of those fountains that go up and down. As you can see, they are not just, see, they're going down and they'll go up again. There's those new trees here. There's a few ornaments that are also gonna help make our cities quite nice. So this was definitely the 5 reasons why I'm really so far loving this DLC. I think this is great DLC, very happy with it. One element also that I'll mention as a bonus is, as always, this DLC comes with let's say free update of the game, number 12, which also, as always, brings a few great elements. One of it is the mass downgrade. So usually, let's say here, if you press U, you can see, oh, actually none of them can be upgraded. Why? Oh, because sorry, I can. So you see, all of the houses that can be upgraded, and if you press Shift, you are able to upgrade many at once. But now you can actually do the same with Alt to downgrade multiple houses. That is very powerful. I mean, it's simple but very powerful in my opinion. Then another element that's simple but very powerful is, if you click on going to another region, you can choose which island, and in the past you could only choose your island. Now you can also choose the NPCs, which is very important when you want to send a ship, to sell something or to buy something. That really helps. There's a couple of other ones, but that's not the goal of this video to go through all of them, but just to show you that why this DLC is great, because also come with that, of course, but you also do get it for free. So this was, in a nutshell, my assessment of this DLC. As I said, the next video I think I'm gonna do is gonna be on understanding the panorama effect and showing you the best layout to get the best population density out of your skyscraper and of the panorama effect. Another video I'm gonna do very shortly is showing you what are the best items, new items, where to use them, and in what situations. There are something that may definitely surprise you. I have also been starting to stream in the last few days, and will probably continue to do so, especially if you tell me in the comments that you're interested in seeing that. And in this stream, we've been going a bit through, building those skyscrapers, going through the quest. We, at the moment, are actually starting the Skyline Tower here. As you can see here, we're just at the beginning. This is not the biggest monument you can see compared to, for example, the World Fair. It's quite small, but actually it's gonna go quite high, so that's gonna be interesting in your city. And then after all of this is done, we'll probably continue. For sure we'll continue, looking at this save to go to a record of population with investors without any export import. So that's going to be the big difference maybe versus other streamers you can see out there. Pretty sure somebody like Duke Vitae or Daz is going to show you a big record soon of investors with the Dockland activated, doing export import, using of course Bruno on your bicycle factories to get a lot of things that you can sell and not need to produce anything. But that's not what I want. What I want is really to basically cover the new world with coffee, with chocolate, with ethanol factories, have a very efficient Cronfall that's focused on production with click buildings and things like this, to then have as much as population as possible. For example, I have started here this island. This is not finished yet, but you can see already quite high. It's mostly level 4 and 5 to maximize a bit your panorama effect, with also the arcades in the middle. So yeah, we'll do those type of things. I'll explain where we're at. Of course, also looking at islands that are for production. Like this is the coffee island I've started. Those type of things. Do stay tuned. And I'll also probably continue to look into all of the mods that are out there to show them to you so you can see which one you'd love to use on your game. But yeah, thanks for watching. Don't hesitate to press the like button if you did like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. And I hope to see you next time.